The quiet man finally showed his teeth. I was 17 when I realized my dad wasn't the soft, beaten-down doormat I thought he was. For as long as I could remember, my mom steamrolled him daily, never with punches, always with precision-cut insults. She mocked how he loaded the dishwasher, sneered at the way he folded shirts, called him pathetic if he forgot a single grocery item. Whenever he got home from his job at a small auto shop in Crestwick, she'd remind him, "You're lucky I stay with someone who doesn't even have a real career." And he always just absorbed it, nodded, went quiet. I thought silence meant weakness. Turns out, it meant calculation. Everything changed after their 12th anniversary. Mom decided she wanted a massive party, 10 times bigger than anything they'd ever done. She invited half of Willowford, co-workers she hated, old friends she barely spoke to, even the snobby neighbors who pretended she didn't exist. For weeks, she strutted around the house acting like some high-end event planner, obsessing over canapes and glassware. She told Dad to handle the catering, gave him an exact list, practically yelled the instructions at him. I helped him double-check the order twice before he placed it, because I was tired of seeing him get chewed out. The day of the party, everything arrived perfectly. Gorgeous trays of food, desserts neatly arranged, nothing missing. But Mom saw the tiramisu and froze. Then she detonated. Apparently she'd changed her mind about the dessert 2 days earlier and forgot to tell him. She screamed at him in front of everyone, called him incompetent, useless, embarrassing. People pretended not to stare. Dad didn't defend himself. He just walked into the garage. I thought he was hiding. When I checked on him an hour later, he sat at his workbench, writing in a small black notebook. He looked up at me with the softest, saddest smile and said, "Just keeping track." I didn't understand. Not fully. But something in his voice made the hair on my arms stand up. After that, he changed. Not loudly. Not in a dramatic movie scene way. Just deliberately. Controlled. He didn't respond to her jabs anymore. Didn't explain or justify. He just listened, nodded, and wrote things down in that notebook she never bothered to notice. Meanwhile, she kept complaining about how stupid he made her look at her own party. 3 weeks later, on a normal Tuesday night, he came home with a thick envelope. During dinner, he slid it onto the table and said, "I made something for you." Mom rolled her eyes. "Oh God, what now? A card? You know I hate cheesy stuff." Dad didn't react, just pushed it closer. She opened it expecting, who knows, some apology letter or restaurant voucher. Instead, she pulled out a stack of papers. Dozens. Printed screenshot, photos, receipts, transcribed recording. Everything organized, dated, labeled. Page 1, a screenshot of her group chat where she called him the dumbest man alive to her friend Marcy. Page 2, a photo of the birthday card he gave her last year, the one she ripped up and left on the counter with a sticky note reading, "Try harder." Then came pages of her texts, calling him fat, useless, embarrassing. Pages of grocery receipts where she'd circled items and written, "Wrong again." A printed email to her sister saying she only stayed with him because leaving would make her look bad. And then the last page, a handwritten letter from Dad. "This is every single time you made me feel like nothing. I kept track so I wouldn't let myself believe I imagined it. I am not crazy. You are cruel, and I'm done." Mom went white, then blotchy red. She tried to laugh. "Oh, come on. You're being dramatic. You know I'm joking when I say those things. Don't be so sensitive." Dad stood up. "I filed for divorce this morning. You'll get the papers tomorrow." She burst into tears instantly, begging, pleading, grabbing at his arm. He didn't flinch. He picked up his jacket and walked out. I found him at my uncle's house later that night. He looked 10 years younger, like he'd been underwater for a decade and finally surfaced. He told me he never made that binder to humiliate her. He made it because he needed proof she couldn't twist. She'd spent years convincing him he was overreacting, misremembering, being dramatic. He wanted to know, without doubt, that he wasn't losing his mind. Mom tried everything afterward, calling him 50 times a day, showing up at his work, telling anyone who'd listen that he abandoned her. Didn't matter. He moved into a tiny apartment, started working at a better dealership, joined a gym, made actual friends. He laughed again, really laughed. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. She tried to take him for everything, but the binder shut that down fast. Her lawyer reportedly told her it was one of the clearest cases of emotional abuse she'd seen. Last I heard, Mom's still telling people Dad ruined her life, but I know the truth.